What's going on, YouTube family? This is Francisco with Covenant Dispatch LLC, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Really quick, like I always say, guys, if this is your first time visiting our channel and you like our content, right under this video, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Right next to that subscribe button, go ahead and smash that like button. Do that right now so that this video can reach a broader audience and help those looking for this kind of information. And lastly, hit that notification bell right next to that so that you can be alerted for when we post future videos. As you guys can see already in the title and the thumbnail, I want to dive right into this. So my past couple of videos, I've been doing a series of answering questions on my YouTube channel. We get tons of comments, and so I like to pick some out that are good ones and answer them here on the videos on these videos so that it can answer questions that some of you may have. So, and these are really good questions. So the one that prompted this video, so we're going to be talking about quickly negotiating rates. The one that prompted this video was Adam. Wait, am I saying this right? ADA, I don't know how to pronounce that, but whoever that is, I appreciate that question that you asked. Unfortunately, I'm just now getting to it. It was a month ago, but the question goes like this. They said, how to know when to negotiate and when it'll be a good profit for both you, the trucker, and broker. So I'm going to kind of, because I know sometimes people write questions and they mean one thing, but they kind of type it out a little bit differently. But if I'm hearing this, or I should say, if I'm reading this and interpreting this question the right way, I think what they're trying to say is, how do you negotiate? And I guess they're saying, how do you negotiate to make it profitable for you as the dispatcher, the trucker, and the broker? So really quick, I want to nip this right at the butt. When it comes to the broker, they're not in your best interest as far as profit. You are actually negotiating with the freight broker on behalf of the carrier to get a good rate. So you're not really too much worrying about if the broker's taken care of. That doesn't mean do bad business. That just means it's not in your best interest to make them more money. It's in your interest to make you and your carrier more money, or really your carrier, which will in turn make you more money. So we're going to get right into this. It's a really good question, so thank you for that. The first thing that you want to focus on is the carrier target rate. So off to the left, which you'll be able to see right here, I'm kind of circling around in the picture, is just a snapshot of our agreement form carrier packet. If you didn't see my last video that I just posted, in fact, it's the video that I posted right before this one. If you go back to our YouTube channel, maybe I'll try to put the link somewhere here, but I talked about what the agreement form is, or the carrier packet. On our carrier packet, one of the questions that we ask to make sure we efficiently negotiate rates on behalf of our carriers is the target rate. So I took a snapshot of our template that we have and we offer on our Freight Dispatch Blueprint Package course, which I'll show you guys in a few moments. One of the first questions, not one of the first, but one of the questions that I asked them, amongst some other ones, is what their target rate is. So I give every carrier when they're onboarding with us the ability to be able to say, hey, this is what we're looking for, more or less, right? Obviously, the target rate isn't going to be concrete, but at least it gives you a ballpark. Now, the reason why I asked that again is to number one, be fair. Number two, have some kind of criteria and standard to go by whenever I'm negotiating freight on their behalf. Now, I want to add this in here, and I didn't necessarily have this in my notes or anything. I don't even have notes. I'm kind of just freestyling this, but I want to add this, and I wasn't going to originally add it, is the rate does depend. One of the variables that determines the rate does depend on short hauls versus long hauls. So I just want to throw that out there in case there was someone on here that thought about that immediately when they're watching this. It does kind of vary depending on that, but for the most part, we're gonna stick to this. So let me just keep going. Off to the left, you're gonna see on our carrier, whenever I'm getting signed up with a carrier, that's one of the questions I'm definitely gonna ask. Because think about it, if you don't have a target rate, or if you don't ask them what their target rate is, then you really don't have nothing to gauge. I mean, you could definitely gauge it by the actual market, which is what I'm going to show you next. But again, you want to have something that, let's say a carrier is like, oh, well, I don't like that rate, and it's like, what do you hold? What do you hold that by? Like, what standard do you hold that by? Like, what holds that rate accountable? So, anyways, I think that's a great idea for you guys when you're onboarding carriers to do that. Off to the right here, you're going to see what's called DAT trend line. So DAT is a very popular load board. And they offer a resource for free. If you actually go to Google and just type in DAT trend lines, you'll be able to see national flatbed rates, I think national reefer rates, national drive-in rates. So I just, for the sake of an example, am showing you guys national flatbed rates. So let's just say hypothetically, your carrier that you're onboarding has a flatbed, right? So you're going to look at the different RPMs or rate per mile per each like region, right? So you got West Coast, we're looking at 219. We got down south, we got 237, $2.37. Then we got Southeastern, we got 256, Northeastern 230, Midwest 251. So obviously, you'll get a better bang for your buck down here in the Northeastern for a flatbed. Southeastern. For a flatbed, according to DAT trend lines, which is the time that I posted this video. This is the current date for which they updated that information. So again, that's a free resource that they offer on DAT. Of course, if you're a carrier, maybe you're watching this, you can definitely go on there and subscribe for some of their other plans that give you more details, more information. And I want to also throw something in here because I think she has an awesome YouTube channel. There's a lady on here. Actually, I forgot her. I think her name's Miranda, if I'm not mistaken. I haven't watched one of her videos in a little bit. She has a YouTube channel called Trucking Made Successful, if I'm saying that right. If I'm saying that wrong, someone comment under this video and correct me. But she has a great YouTube channel where she breaks a lot of that down. I recommend watching her if you want to get a more in-depth understanding of how the market is currently going right now, according to all of the different variables that make up what we see here on this board. This is just what we're seeing, but there's a lot of variables that go into it. But so target rate, you want to ask the carrier what their target rate is. So did you have something to gauge what you're going to go negotiate rates for on their behalf? But the reason why I put DAT trend lines off to the right here is because let's just say they're like, oh, well, we're looking for $4 a mile. Okay, that's totally unreasonable, right? So you want to make sure that what they submit is somewhat or more or less around where they're currently at and what they're looking for. Does that make sense? So let's say you get a carrier who wants to drive in the Midwest area. Let's say they live in like Ohio, right? And they want to stay in that Midwest area, and then they type in their target rate. They're looking for 320. Well, they're 70 cents off of what the current average RPM is in that region. So obviously you want to cross-reference and see if they're, but let's just say they put like 230, then you're like, okay, that's ballpark, right? So that's just one of those things that's the first thing you want to focus on when negotiating freight on your carrier's behalf. What's their target rate, right? Next, what's the dispatcher target pay? So I drew this little illustration that's probably kind of tacky, but I know some people learn better with visuals. So this off to the left would be, of course, the carrier. Off to the right, this would be the dispatcher. So taking the example that we just saw right here, let's just say your carrier put in their target rate, they're looking for $2.30 per mile. Well, let's say they have a flatbed. Let's say they're in the Midwest region. So if that's the case, they're not too far off, right? So they're like actually 21 cents lower than what the average national average is, right? So of course you'd say, okay, you could work with that. So the dispatcher target pay, now this is just something that at the end of the day, the dispatcher charges for, this is the most standard way that dispatchers charge, and what I teach is to charge a percentage on the gross of each load, right? So you're getting paid no matter what the percentage of the gross on each load. But if you make your carrier more money above their, which I don't want to get ahead of myself, but kind of flowing into it, whatever you make above their target rate is going to pay you better and make them more satisfied. For example, let's just say you book a load, and I'm going to explain it in the next slide, but let's say you do book a load for right at $2.30. Well, when you go and charge them and invoice them at the end of the week or however you want to do that, you're going to charge 6% of that $2.30 that they booked for that load. But let's say your target is to get above that. Let's say, when you go to negotiate for that load, you say, hey, I'm going to try to actually negotiate this for like $2.45 or whatever. you're negotiating it for 15 cents, 20 cents, or whatever above what they're already what your carrier's target rate is. That way, when you go and invoice them, it doesn't really look like there's much of a dent in what they're getting paid, which, you know, there's a lot that goes into that, but you guys catch what I'm kind of saying, right? So let's look at it as in a scenario. Let's say, for example, you find the load on the load board and it's going from Philadelphia, PA to Indianapolis, Indiana, right? So that's 643 miles if you would take this route, right? And I got this from Google Maps, which another insert that I don't have necessarily to share with you guys, but I recommend Google Maps as one of the tabs that you have up when you're dispatching, which is kind of self-explanatory, but some people don't. Maybe you're new and you don't really know that. Google Maps is a great resource to use, right? So let's just say in this scenario, for Philadelphia, PA to Indianapolis, Indiana, you find a load. It's 643 miles. First of all, what's the RPM? What's the rate per mile? The RPM is going to be, well, let me actually back up. Let's just say we go according to this $2.30, right? Let's just say that's your carrier's target rate. Well, you're going to take that target rate and multiply it by the mileage. So you're going to take $2.30, multiply that by 643, and you're going to come out with a total of 1,478.90, right? So 1,478.90 will get you your $2.30 target rate that you're looking for your carrier. So this is how the dispatcher target pay would come into effect in this scenario, right? So you're looking at this load, you're like, okay, it's a good load, whatever, you like it, you know, you're negotiating or you're getting ready to call them, but before you do, you want to get all your ducks in a row so that you can negotiate a good rate. I would look at this and negotiate it for $1,600, because more than likely they're going to probably try to meet you halfway. If you can settle this load at about, let's say, I would negotiate this load for about $1,700, because I'm going to try to meet them somewhere around $1,550, $1,600 around there, right? That's going to be like my goal, because anything above the $2.30, which is my carrier's target pay or rate, I'm gonna when I go to invoice them and charge them, I'm not necessarily dipping into their target rate. You guys understand? I'm anything above that, I'm technically relieving whatever I would charge them originally, if that makes sense. And of course, they see that over time. But for the sake of this video, trying to explain to you guys a good strategy that you could use, that's a great strategy, right? So that's just a scenario, right? Now, I want to jump into quickly two different things, and there's many variables, but I'm going to just cover two different things. And before I do that, I want to jump out of here and show you guys, shameless plug, I'm going to show you guys really quick what we offer on our page and our channel. So our website is onestoptruckinghub.com, and we do offer, I don't know why it says courses, because we used to have multiple options, but we offer a freight dispatch blueprint package. If you go on our page, go to courses, you can see some of our testimonials, videos, all that good stuff. You come down here. Right, currently we have it at $185 one-time setup fee, which is way less than what we used to charge, and it has way more content in it. I like to try to make this course affordable for anybody who wants to learn this industry. So the other thing is, it is $15 every month to keep access to the course, or I should say the content. Once you click here to join, fill out the information, make your payment, at the top right, you'll get access to these two pages, the members only form and the freight dispatch blueprint. If you try to click on this without having registered or paid yet, it won't even access, it'll redirect you to the courses page. But because I'm already signed in, you can see it. So this is our course. It's broken down into two sections. Freight dispatch course breaks down all the fundamentals. Then you got carrier acquisition training that shows you how to get carriers once you set up your company. This is literally walking you through the process of setting up your company from A to Z and then finding carriers for your company. Somebody asked, well, is it 100% proof? It really just honestly depends on are you going to put the work in or not. So in one of these, each of these module videos are anywhere from like 25 to 40 minutes. Tons of information, booking your first load boards, and I think equipment types, or I believe it's equipment types, is where we kind of dive into more details on negotiating freight. Plus, if you go to our bonus videos, we dive into it too. How to negotiate rates, we go into more detail. You also get access to all these documents. You get access to our ebook. You get access to the agreement form template, brokerless template, all this stuff. And I don't want to spend too much time on this. If you want to learn more about that, go into the description under this video, and you'll be able to check out some more of what information on our course. So quickly, commodity is going to be one of the things that determine when you're negotiating a load, what you're going to negotiate it for, aside from obviously the target rate that you're looking for. First thing is weight, which I hope you guys like my illustration here. But first thing is weight, right? Weight is going to be, because commodity is broken down into two components, multiple components, but I'll just say these two, right? One of them's weight. The more weight, the more, first of all, the more wear and tear on the truck, on the trailer. Secondly, the more fuel you're going to burn, the carrier, right? So you have to take those things into consideration. Secondly, size. The bigger the size, the less you're either able to tack onto that load, because you can partialize freight, which I don't have time to flesh that out in this video. But let's just say you're hauling a load. You have a 53-foot drive in. You're hauling a load for, that's about 15 feet, and you're able, and it doesn't have it's not sealed. If it's not sealed technically, and if it's not a FT, like a full load, then you can tag on another load to it. So that go into your kind of negotiation, planning, organizing. So depending on the size and the weight will really determine what you're going to negotiate for, right? Quick scenario. Let's say you have a load that's 15,000 pounds, 15 feet. That's a light load, right? And it's not that large. You could probably throw another load on there and get something that's dropping off close to the first drop off, and be able to add more money onto your run, right? Versus a load that might be like 40,000 pounds and is let's say 40,000 pounds and is like 50 feet, right? It's going to take up 50 feet of your trailer. Depending on where it's going, let's say it's an area that has a lot of hills, that might burn a lot of fuel, and so you might want to take fuel into the consideration, which that's a whole other thing right there. But just giving you guys examples. Number two is destination. So I'm sorry to pick on Florida here as one of the states that I put an X on, but depending on what commodity, depending on what equipment type you have, many people, destination matters. So let's say you're getting a load from Allentown, Pennsylvania, and it's going down to Miami, Florida. Well, when you're in Miami, Florida, you have to take into consideration a huge chunk of southern Florida is like what do they call it? Everglades, if I'm saying it right. It's just a bunch of like swamp area, right? So there's not much activity going on down there. So it might be a little complicated. In a lot of cases it is to get out of Florida. So destination matters. What are they paying for you to go down there? Will it cover any deadhead mileage? Let's say you go down to Miami and you have to trail all the way back up to about Atlanta to get a load, right? Are they going to pay you, whoever's sending you down there, to cover for that, right? That's just an example. Illinois, I put a check there because Illinois usually fares out good for most equipment types. So let's say they're sending you there. That's something you might want to take into consideration. And I just put two examples on here. Of course, like I said, I don't have time to flesh it all out, but that's basically some of the different components that you want to pay attention to when you're negotiating a rate for your carrier. And again, going back to that question, it does not matter what the broker, you're not looking to make the broker happy. You're looking to make the your carrier or the trucker happy, and you happy, of course. But in order to make you happy, you have to make them happy. So I hope this video helped you guys out. Send it to someone you know it might help out as well. And other than that, guys, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.